freedom and acceptance. I was going to separate the two, but I'm going to keep those together. So when you really think about when you give someone the freedom to show up as themselves, you also give them the gift of acceptance. So that's why I'm going to combine that together. I was going to make it two separate points, but I think they really go hand in hand, right? So just for the sake of not being redundant, I'm going to combine the two. So I feel like the best thing we can do for those that we love is to give them the freedom to be themselves and show up as the way that they feel most authentic, and to support that in the best of our abilities, right? With no judgment. So, years ago, I want to say it had to be over 5 years ago, I was listening to Reverend Lee Rolak, and he is a YouTube, he's not a YouTuber, but he has a YouTube. He has a church out of Texas. I want to say it's called the Agape Spiritual Center. But either way, I love his ministry, and he was doing a talk on how when judgment enters the conversation, love leaves. And that just stood out to me. And it stuck with me all these years, and it really helped me release what I think about certain situations and how I think things should be, or even how my relationship with God is. And it helped me love better, if that makes sense. Because when he said that, I was just like, that makes so much sense, right? Because if you take something that is, let's just say you take a beautiful piece of art, right? And then you begin to focus on the art to find imperfections. You start, like, oh, look at this, look at that, or, oh, that's messed up, or whatever, depending on the person, because obviously beauty is subjective, right? But as a person who is a little critical, I can go into certain situations and I'm like, this is a nice venue for this, event, but they could have did this or they could have did that, and da 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 da. You start trying to find things wrong, right? That's judgment. So it's not from an ill intent place. You're just making observations and you're being critical and you're seeing how things can improve, right? But a lot of times in the midst of doing that, you then miss out on the beauty of the experience, right? So I feel like that's kind of how freedom, giving people the freedom to be who they are, works in our relationships, right? So if you come into a dynamic with a person and all you're focused on is all the things they're doing wrong, all the things they could be doing better, how they could look better, talk better, walk better, I don't know, dress better, cook better, whatever it is, you focus on what they could be doing better. You then now are ignoring all of the beauty of what this person is bringing to the table because you're so focused on what's wrong. And a lot of times when it comes into not giving people the freedom to be who they are, it's because you're judging their situation. You're just kind of like, you shouldn't want to do that. You shouldn't want to be with that type of person. You shouldn't want to, I don't know, have that type of job and be in that type of environment with those type of people, whatever it is, like whatever you're looking at and you're saying like, this is wrong and you shouldn't want to do this. Let me put a disclaimer out there. There are things that we know that are wrong in the sense of violating somebody else's free will, whether that's sexual assault, domestic violence, stealing, all those things. We're not talking about those things. We're talking about people living their best life, showing up, doing the jobs that they want to do, being married to who they want to be married to, experiencing God through whatever faith they choose to walk down, whatever it is, these things that we show up and we do in our everyday life that does not bring harm to other people. And you look at it and you say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That ain't this, that ain't that, or you shouldn't do it like that, and you need to do it like this. Because judgment has entered the picture, you are now picking something apart, and you can no longer accept it because now you see the flaws in what you think it is, right? So it's just kind of like, but if you meet somebody and they share something with you that you don't understand, right? And you're just like, I don't know why you would want to be a part of that, or I don't know why you would want to do that job, or whatever it may be. Like, whatever biases or prejudice you may have about different things, whatever those things are, because it doesn't resonate with you and your soul, you judge it for what this soul wants to experience, right? When you do that, you basically reject that person and the things that define who they are. So then with that rejection, that person don't feel loved or accepted because now they're worried about what you're thinking about them. And I feel like the best thing we can do for those that we love, that come and share things with us, whatever it may be, is to say, even when you don't understand, oh, okay, well, I'm glad that's something you want to experience, and I hope it works for your highest and greatest good. That's my thing. Like, everybody don't say it like that, but whatever it is, I hope it work out for you. Like, even if I don't understand it, I'm going to encourage you because it's not, your journey is not my journey, and my journey is not your journey, and it's not meant for me to understand, and it's not meant for me to judge. Just like God is working in my life, God is working in your life. And I can support you in the best way that I know how, but I don't get to judge it, and I don't get to tell you that it's wrong. I don't get to tell you that that's not how you experience something. And I feel like that's what love is, because versus somebody coming and sharing, when they do come and share something with you and you do hold space for them, it gives them an empowerment to trust themselves and to follow what their spirit is telling them to do. And I think that's the thing, which I'll be cutting a video on that, on the 2 types of love. And I use air quotes because I think love is love. There is no different types of love. Either it's love or it's not, right? However, that's me being black and white. And I do understand that there is contrast in that. There is a way that I've come to understand what we have come to know as love versus what really is love, but I don't want to give it away, so I'm not going to talk about it right now. I will be talking about it in another video, and it'll be a part of this series, but I don't really want to get into that in this video. But when you show up and you love people, you just give them permission to follow their spirit in the way that God is guiding them. And you don't get to tell someone that that's not God, right? Because it doesn't make sense to you, and that's not how God shows up for you. And I think that him saying that in that particular talk, it helped me with my self-love journey. It has helped me in my trauma, in healing my trauma, because it allowed me to not take so many things personal in life about other people's journeys of how they showed up or how they didn't show up in my life. And it really allowed me to move into another level of love and understanding love, because it allowed me to say, I may not understand why you made that choice. I may not understand, why you took that step or why you did this or did that, but it's not meant for me to understand. And that has eliminated so much stress in my life and so much, I guess, self-judgment, even in my own journey of learning to accept myself. And though I may be different from the person to my left or my best friends or the people in my family, I may not experience life or see things the way that they see them. And it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. And they may not understand me. And that doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It gave me permission to be like, you know what? I'm just wired this way. Like, some of the passions I don't even understand of myself, but it's okay because I just know I want to experience and I get to do it. And I have that choice to do it, right? And I understand that everything is working together for the highest and greater good of where I'm going. And so because I did that for myself, I can now do that freely for other people. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still human. And in my headspace, I might be like, what in the world? Why? But then what I call is spirit kicks in and says, it ain't meant for you to understand, girl. I'm like, you know what? You're right. And I will say that is one of the most compliments that I personally get from my inner circle, is that people can share the most intimate parts of themselves and they have not felt judged for me once. And I love that, because it just makes me feel that I'm loving correctly, right? So, because it's like, I know what it feels like to not feel accepted. I know what it feels like to feel judged by self and others, and not accepted by self and others. So I know that when I can hold that space for someone to say, girl, boy, I see all of you and I accept all of you, and I'm here to support you in the best way that I know how. I know what that felt like for me to do that for myself, and I know what it feels like, or I get to see how it helps and love other people. And I feel like it also, just like I said, it makes life so much more stress. So for me, I just feel like that's the epitome of what love is. And essentially, I feel like we do it with our children. I think it goes back to some people, not all people, but, you know, we watch our children grow and we watch them unfold and into who they're meant to be. And we get to just kind of marvel at the beauty of who they're becoming, right? So it's just like, it's like a lot of times your children can't do no wrong for the most part. You know, there's some things that you may be like, okay, I want you to clean your room or do this or whatever. But when, you know, you hear parents talk about how beautiful it is to see the personality of their child evolve and become who they are, they find so much joy and peace in it, because it's a mystery of watching it unfold to see who they're going to become, versus a lot of times with adults, you know, in our, you know, exchange of relationships with, you know, older people, shall I say, or I guess not even, I think somewhat even teens, you probably still, you know, like they're children, right? But it's like, for some reason, when we could kick into adulthood, we kind of lose that excitement of watching people grow and evolve. It's like, if they grow and evolve, it becomes a threat to who they were to us. And we feel like, wait a minute, that's not what you used to like to do. That's not who you said you wanted to be. You said you wanted to do this for 30 years. And how dare you change your mind? You know, and it's just like, you said you wanted to live here and now you want to go live there. And you start to clash, because you're not accepting that person as they're growing, evolving as an individual, and you should be growing and evolving until you leave this earth. And if you're not, it is my personal opinion that you're dying. If you are stagnant and you're not growing in your mental space, your physical body, your spiritual body, you are dying. Like, you're just existing. And that could be a little harsh. And when I say you're dying a spiritual death, because I feel like it is our sole purpose to come here to grow and evolve. And if you become stagnant, you lack purpose. You lack excitement. You kind of deal with depression and anxiety and all these different things that show up of your soul saying, please, I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to experience more. And it doesn't have to be something grand, like, oh, I picked up and went to Bora Bora for 2 months. It doesn't have to be something extravagant as that. It could be reading your daily devotional. It could be walking around your block, you know, and working on your body. It could be 5 minutes of meditation. You know, it can be all these different things that is producing growth. And it's just kind of like, when you hold space for that, you give people the excitement to just be loved and to become who they're meant to be. It's empowering. And that's why I feel like freedom to show up and be who you are, and the freedom to explore and grow and evolve, and that is the gift of acceptance. Like, when you give freedom, you have the gift of acceptance just by a byproduct of giving people freedom. So I can go on and on about that topic, because I am a free-spirited person, and I am a explorer of life, and I love to grow, and I get excited about helping other people grow. I get excited about my own personal growth, and it's just a discovering more of who I am. And I believe that each individual is on that journey if they answer the call. Some people don't want to answer the call because they don't like change, and they don't want to grow because it means if they grow, things change and they may not be accepted. But my thing is, if you knew that there was nothing that you could do to make people not love you or care about you, I think people would do a lot more. So I'm going to end there because I do not want this to turn into a 30-minute video because I can keep going on and on. So that is all for episode 2 on Love is Freedom and Acceptance. And I look forward to talking to you next week. Have a blessed one.